Hello, Ringo Railway here with a very interesting review today. Today's item is our favorite #1 engine, Thomas the Tank Engine. And this is the 2015 edition. Obviously, Thomas has been in the wooden railway line from day one because he's the main character. Here's the 1992 third edition. And 2003 edition. The only difference between this and 2002, which is I have but is in terrible shape, is that this one has stripes. 2002 does not. This is 2001. So just to give a quick summary. So let's go back to 1992. This Thomas is very iconic, and I'm surprised not as many users as you would think have it. This is the third edition, first edition having a tall funnel, second one having a flat funnel, and finally this, my favorite edition, being probably the most notorious. His eyebrows are interesting because one is raised and one that's not on this model is low. Now what's notorious with these 1992 models is that they're staring in random places all the time. For example, this one is staring down and to the side. Of course, you have thin wheels, no dates, staples, and flat magnets. Now, what I love about these 1992 models, everything is wood. If I pull him off to the side, you can just see a lot of plastic here on the dome, the boiler. More plastic than what should be used, in my opinion. And so, for most of the Thomas Wooden Railway line, for almost 10 years, Thomas remained pretty much the same, with minor variations, such as thick wheels, this being the 2001 model, a little bit of an adjusted dome. It's still tall, but it's not as flat. He still has the ledge, a little bit of added detail here on the bottom. The #1 is slightly different. It's pretty much the same. Pretty much just refurbished details. The cabs are a little bit different, but not too noticeable. And you can see where this one is glued together. This one seems to be in one piece. Of course, this one has a plastic boiler and funnel. It says a wood boiler and funnel. And so he stayed pretty consistently the same except for his face. The faces are ironically very different. You can't really tell on this model or on this camera, but the faces are different. This one is a little wider and less rounded. This one's pretty perfectly rounded, bigger eyes, smaller eyebrows, and a little bit of a different smile. I personally like this one better. This one just doesn't look like Thomas to me. And in 2002, 2003 is what it's most known for, a big change in the wooden railway, and that can be represented through this model right here. And you can just see how over a year, the evolution, over a little more than a year, he's shiny. They put like an extra glazing or coating on. This dome becomes short and stout and plastic, unfortunately. Has his name on the bottom, but not in bold print. And for what would remain for almost 10 years, 2003 dated wheels. So I can't tell you exactly what this model year is. The faces got a major makeover. This one I believe, has a better face. It's an improvement. I wouldn't call it great. I don't have the Tomy CGI because those are creepy, and I would rather not have them. So that is Thomas in 2003. Then Mattel took over the company, and in 2015, we got this model. Now the color of the wheels on this model is a lighter blue. They feel like they're of a different kind of plastic. The dome becomes tall again, which isn't really noticed. It remains plastic. Plastic boiler, of course, plastic face. Round magnets. 2002 dates. Return information in case of a recall. And rounded edges to avoid edge wear. So you can see there. Now, of course, this item is newer, so it shouldn't have much edge wear. Now, these Mattel models are iconic for looking almost exactly what they look like in the TV series. This face, I really like the face. If you compared it to the face in the TV series of CGI, it looks almost exactly the same. A little bit of a funnel adjustment. This rounding here is a little shorter and it's thinner. But when you take a look at the overall shape, it seems like the printing doesn't really fit the model here. A little bit of an adjustment with the font. This item's actually a little bit taller too. And the color is different. This is a much lighter blue than this one. As a matter of fact, this blue is very similar to the blue on the 2001 model and even the 1992. That was an unseen adjustment. However, I think it looks good for the model. He's not as shiny, but he's still pretty shiny. I really like this model. Probably more than this one and this one. And for his time period, he is definitely of the, let's call, hit entertainment era, the best model of Thomas. However, I'm not going to share my personal opinion on this. I would like to hear from the viewers which model is better. And not because of history, but just portraying its character. I believe both of these models, I know this is what people have wanted, comparing the two. This model does a really nice job. Both models do a really nice job of giving character to their characters and giving an identity. These faces just look generic to me. They don't really say much about the characters. These two, both, this just reminds me of a cheeky Thomas face. Cheeky is a well-used word in the old series. And this one does a good job of portraying Thomas as he is today. And kids can really relate to these two faces, I believe, especially for their respective time period. Obviously, the detail on the models is quite the same, actually. The shapes are almost totally different. And there are so many things to cover. This is taller. This part right here is taller. This is shorter. Taller. Wood. Plastic. They returned to the tall dome. Even the cabs. The cab is taller here than it is here. And the coal, it remained the same for the most part. But really, you talk about the evolution of the Thomas Wooden Railway, when really it wasn't even an evolution. And I'll show you again. For the most part, from 1992 until 2001, Thomas looked pretty much the same with minor differences. It was almost an immediate change from 2001 to 2003 where this happened. So you can't really say that there was a so-called evolution of Thomas Wooden Railway. It really just happened when Hit Entertainment took over the company. And slowly but surely, Mattel was able to finally give us a product we can be proud of in the Thomas Wooden Railway. But obviously, in 2003, they certainly began to lean on plastic a lot more than I believe they should have, and took more attention to detail in portraying the character exactly. Even the font of the number 1 is different. And then in 2015, the number 1 font returned to almost the same font as this one, except not as bold and with a shorter border. If I were a Thomas Wooden Railway collector, which I am, I would make it necessary to pick up both of these items and just compare the two. Do your own little comparison and choose which one you like better. Of the new era, I enjoy this one the most between these and even these. But of the old era, this was the face of Thomas Wooden Railway and did its job perfectly well. So, along with my recommendation, this probably about $12 retail. You can get this Thomas really cheap on eBay. Again, most likely $12 retail. Thomas here. I picked him up for $15, a little more than what I wanted. However, if you're patient, you could probably pick him up for less. But there is something interesting in this clip or video about the sheds and the engines in the sheds. And if you can pick up on what that, well, not really difference is, but what I was trying to portray and represent within, based on the engines in the sheds and who they are and what they're from, if you can pick up on what I was trying to do there, I will send you a 2015 new in box Coldie. Obviously, this is not it. I'll have to go pick it up at the local store. But let's just have a little contest and see who can pick up a little clever thing I did with the sheds there. So that basically wraps this video up as we're getting ready to hit the 13-minute mark. So this is Ringo Railway saying goodbye and thank you for watching.